What's up, everybody? We are back with another Savannah Spotlight. This one, a very, very important conversation. Super excited about it. I'm Renee LaSalle, your hostess with the mostest, and my gorgeous co-host, we've got Michelle Horne with Horne Law, and Julie Wade, longtime advocate for young people in our local community, and now the founder and executive director of Tharros Place. For those who aren't familiar, it's been around for just a couple of years. Julie, real quick, give us the rundown what Tharros Place is and why it's so important where we are geographically.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us and shining a spotlight on Tharros Place. We're a 12-bed residential facility for girls 12 to 17 who are survivors of human trafficking. They come from all over the state, and they stay with us for pretty prolonged periods of time, and we pour into them all their basic needs: education, life skills, well-being, therapy, physical activity. We're with them 24/7, 365. And of course, the goal is to get them out of a life of trafficking and back into a life of a regular teenager. And some of them are closer to that than others. Each person has a different story to tell and different needs, and we're there to really just respond to whatever they need to get them back into life as a regular teen.
Because when we talk about human trafficking, we don't think it can be in our backyard. We don't think that it could be even a neighbor down the street. We literally think, that we are safe in our little bubble.
Yeah.
But literally, Chatham County, number 6 in the state. The state of Georgia, number 2 in the nation. That is terrifying.
Yeah.
How is that a reality?
Well, and so we're the largest outside of Atlanta, so the others are all in Atlanta. I think a lot has to do with our high level of poverty, vulnerability of young people in the home and in the community, our proximity to I-95, which we know is a drug and gun and gang corridor. The ports, the airport, our lovely tourism scene, which we all love and enjoy, but it's very bachelor party oriented, open cup carry, and so some of the things that we love about our community also contributed to this really awful underside.
Absolutely.
Right. I love the name Tharros. A lot of people don't know that Tharros is Greek for courage. And that's exactly what you guys are giving these young ladies, is courage and hope. And what I want to know is, what was the motivation behind you starting Tharros Place? Because we went to the same high school. We didn't exactly grow up in an environment where trafficking at our age was something that we knew about. So.
Well, and without giving our age away, I will say no one was really talking about trafficking then. We called it child prostitution and told girls to behave. I think it's been going on for as long as time, but I think we as a community, as a nation, are kind of understanding it more. But it is not what it looks like in the movies. It is not the cute girl pumping gas who gets snatched by the white van. It is not an illegal immigration issue, at least in our community. It is girls who are Georgia girls who grew up in really vulnerable situations. They're highly susceptible to manipulation and abuse, and they would not identify themselves as victims. They did not get to Tharros Place and say, "Yay, I'm here." I mean, they're under constant supervision. They don't have their phones. They don't get to do a lot of normal teenage things, and they think, I got out of a vulnerable situation in my home for whatever reason, and I made it on the streets, and I had a 30-year-old boyfriend, and so it's having to undo a lot of that. And also, it's hard to be a teenage girl now anyway, much harder than when we were teens. And so you deal with that kind of it's hard to be a teenage girl, and then the trauma of being a trafficking victim, and you have a lot of behaviors and situations that we're just trying to address, and sometimes we're like, is that normal teenage behavior or is that the trauma? And so it's very complex. I am not a social worker. I came to this as a lawyer, and where I kind of came into nonprofit. So we've got a great team of social workers and counselors who are working with the girls on all those underlying issues.
You see a lot of Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah, where people just don't understand, and they're trying to communicate with their traffickers. They're trying to reconnect, at least early on. I mean, we're working through that.
What are some of the signs? How would I know that the little girl down the street is being coerced?
Well, and a trafficked teenager often just looks like a teenager, right? But particularly if you're with someone like a teacher or a sports person, you might see the person all of a sudden has like a new shiny phone and new nails, and it looks a little different. Maybe they're really tired all the time. All of a sudden they're not showing up for school, their good grades are slipping. So the best identifier are people that really know children, know that person for a while, and can see a pretty drastic change in behavior. I was actually in an Uber right when we were starting this project, and you'd like chat with the Uber driver, and he was saying he had driven clearly a teenager to a hotel during a school time when she should be in school. And so here's a perfect stranger coming upon it. But he said, yeah, I thought this was really bad. And I was like, yeah, that was really bad. But, so we've talked about like educating Uber drivers. We do a lot of education, a lot of outreach to try to educate the community. And that looks different for different people. Looks like one thing for teachers, one thing for law enforcement. We've talked about working with like Georgia Power, because think about how they're in people's houses all the time. Working with hotels who might be think what the cleaning ladies see. And so trying to think, how can we get in those spaces, not as Tharros Place, but get to the people that are in those spaces to help identify law enforcement and then work with them.
So scary.
And how do you get the hotel managers, and how do you work with the police and the hotels, because you have so many hotels that are turning a blind eye to this? They're getting paid and they're turning their backs on these young people that are being abused in their hotel.
Unfortunately, there has been some litigation on that, so the real lawyers are taking care of that, where they're actually suing hotels on behalf of victims to say you have a responsibility to the people staying in your hotel, and there have been successful lawsuits about that. I won't name the hotel. So that is happening. There's different laws being passed. We actually have a really great law in Georgia. Marty Kemp, our first lady, has really taken human trafficking as one of her top priorities, and so we've seen some different legislative actions to support survivors. We have a statute here where if you're a victim of trafficking and you've been convicted of another crime, shoplifting, drugs, you might think of all the things that a trafficker might use a woman for, and you've been convicted for that, you can get your sentence vacated and you get back all the fines and fees you may have paid.
Wow.
So that's really restorative justice, where you now are getting a clean slate and some money, and that's legislation here in Georgia. So we're doing a lot of great stuff at the state level for these young people.
So what are the resources and what are the services that you specifically are able to offer to your residents, but also what else is in our community, and where is there a hole? Where could someone else step up?
So there are two holes, not to start with the holes. There's no services, residential services for boys in the state, and that's a real hole.
In the state?
In the state. And certainly boys are victims of trafficking as well. Sometimes harder to identify for a whole host of reasons, but we know that's an issue, we know that's a hole. Another hole is, and this is, I would say, for all child services, that 18 to 21 period. So our young people can stay with us until they're 18. And then there's really kind of, there are services, we have Gilliard Company here in the community, but there's not enough of those throughout the state to support that age. Because when you turn 18, you are not ready to be on your own. Any 18-year-old, much less someone who's gone through what these young people have. So those are two holes. And really prior to Tharros Place, there was a huge hole in our community because there was no services within 90 miles for these young people. And we really feel like we have this great opportunity to invest in them. Education is a big thing. We had a 17-year-old come to us with no high school credits.
Wow.
Obviously, starting her at high school then was not going to be successful, so we partnered with Savannah Tech, got her in GED classes to really push the GED because she was a smart kid. Otherwise, our kids are in the Savannah Academy Learning Academy, but they're all coming at different grades and strengths and stuff, and so we have an education coordinator who's working with those young people. We have tutors that come in. We run these girls all over the community because we need to keep them busy.
Right.
And we have so much to offer, and so we've been out to the Marine Science Center in Tybee. We've been to different employer places. So we really keep them busy and try to keep them out. We had a really cool partnership with Emily McCarthy, a local designer. The Landings had a professional golf tournament, and they were doing a fashion show for the golfers' wives. And they let each of our girls go into Emily McCarthy, pick out their own outfit, which that's expensive. And then they got to go to the fashion show. So that's cool. They got to go to a really nice store. They got some nice clothes, and they got to go to this kind of ladies' lunch. So anything we can do to open their eyes to new experiences.
Now, what is the age that they can come in at? What is the youngest age?
12 to 17.
12.
And I would say we've only been open a little less than 2 years. I think the youngest we've had is 14. And then
That's so hard.
It's it's unbelievable.
That's so scary. But here's the deal. You need some money in order to make it work. 12 beds, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Not to mention your services, not to mention the light bill, not to mention food, not to mention gas, getting these young ladies to and fro. What do you need from us as a community?
Lots, but thank you for giving me the platform to say that. But it's a challenging time for nonprofits nationwide. For example, the federal grant that we've relied on for 3 years has not been dropped to renew. So we were fortunate to finish out the grant cycle, but it usually drops in April. And so we're relying more and more on individual donations, local businesses. We run about a $1.5 million budget. I always say we need the same things that your household needs. So like next time you're at Costco, pick up like some extra laundry detergent or whatever. All those household things that we need that collectively cost a lot of money. We're staffed 24/7, 365, and we have certain ratios. So if we have 6 kids, we have 2 staff members on. So do the quick math on the living wage times 2 times 24. So the staffing is really critical. We definitely learned when we opened in December 2023, a lot of people come and want to save the children, and they're really not prepared for the level of trauma and trauma-informed care we have to provide. And so we have a much more stable staff now. We've had to increase wages a little. We brought more people on full-time to create that loyal employee. So that's been a learning curve for us. We love to have fundraisers. We love to partner with different businesses to do like a Tharros Place night at
a pizza parlor.
Yes, I'm like, what's the pizza? The taco stash.
Taco stash, oh yeah.
So any local businesses, we love to do that. We have a great social media presence and team doing that, so we can push out all those partnerships. Yeah, we'll take any money we can get.
Absolutely. Moving forward, what do you hope for Tharros Place, and what is the next goal? You've got the 12 beds, you've got some stability, you've got a stable of staff.
Yes.
What is the next goal?
So right now we are not staffed up to get to 12. So we're not there. And so we would like to get there where we can really be full. I think actually, even though you're adding one more victimized teenager after another, having 12 helps with there's not as many clicks to exclude. Oh, there's just more people like I might like you and not you. And it just helps with the variety a little. So we definitely like to get to 12. We don't have plans to open a new one or anything. We're still getting this one under. And just really educating the community and getting them on board. Our outreach team has educated over 20,000 people. Because when we started, people did not understand what it was or that it was a problem here. And we've still had community leaders, elected people say to us, this isn't happening in my community. And data is data. And so just really turning the page on that. Right. You mentioned the hotel community. It does happen in hotels, and that's not something hotels want to say. Right. They don't want to embrace it, but we have had some that said, yes, we want you to come in, we want you to talk to our staff, we want to partner with you, we want to be ahead of this, we want to be a leader in the community. And so working with partners like that. And the Horne Law Firm has been a huge support since the beginning. Before we were even open, they were doing volunteer events for us, and they put together all these backpacks with the things the girls might need, like slippers and things to make them feel good. And so they have been one of our earliest and best partners. So.
You guys are definitely one of our favorite charities. I mean, the kids are very dear to our heart, and my brother you're one of his favorite people, and Tharros Place is so important.
Should we tell everyone that Derek and I went to high school together?
Yes,
We're in class
we all went to high school together, and you guys graduated together, and Tharros Place is dear to our hearts, and Tharros Place is definitely dear to our hearts, and anything to help these young girls get a new start at life, and it's very important. It meant a lot to me when we were traveling a few weeks ago. Every bathroom I went into in the hotel, every bathroom I went into in the airport, there was signs and phone numbers, and there's actually a signal that you're supposed to bump into someone, because obviously some people want to get away, and they're at that point. A lot of people aren't all the way brainwashed, so those girls are trying to get out of their situations, and they're supposed to bump into someone and make the signal behind their backs. And it's just about educating people more and more, because a lot of people, I saw a video online, and it was so sad to see how many of these girls bumped into someone, and the people just turned around and looked at them, and they were making the signal behind their backs. But people just aren't educated, and hopefully we can continue to educate people, and there'll be programs like Tharros Place, and it's just about educating and getting people to realize this is a real thing.
So for churches, for sororities, for businesses, we're talking the hospitality industry as a whole. For anyone who wants to know more, who wants to have you come in and educate staff, how do we get in touch? What are social media handles?
Yeah.
All of it.
So you can visit tharrosplace.com,
And spell it.
THARROS place.com. And we're at an undisclosed location. Obviously, it's important that we keep our location confidential.
Absolutely.
But we do welcome volunteers. We just ask them to sign a non-disclosure agreement.
Fantastic.
And we don't allow any pictures of our girls or the outside of our facility. But we have groups that come in and cook for the girls. We
Okay.
have groups that decorate for the holidays. We have lots of lawn care projects and outdoor projects to do. So we are always welcoming volunteers. We do have mentors for each young person. For someone who does that, they have to do a background check and drug test and a little more training. But yeah, it's really important to partner with our businesses and other nonprofits. I mean,
Absolutely.
we are a community of limited resources, even though there is great wealth here. I think overall there's limited resources for abundant need. And so it's really critical that all the nonprofits and businesses are working together and being strategic. And so we bring in the mediation center and all sorts of partners to do work so that we don't have to do it.
Absolutely.
They can do it. That's their expertise. You should come visit.
We need to come visit.
Yes.
No, we're going to come
Yes.
visit. We're committing that right now. But for you at home, if you are a lawn care company, if you're a sorority, if you are a Sunday school class, if you want to get involved, Julie just listed off some awesome ways that you can make a difference. Again, it is tharrosplace.com, by the way. So THARROS, Tharros, it means courage in Greek. Tharrosplace.com. Julie, having you here, it's been a goal, even outside my other resources, it's been a goal to connect.
Thank you. Thank you.
It hurts my heart.
Yeah.
So-
No, it's good. I always say the topic is really sad, but the work is really exciting. I do believe, you can change the direction of a 15-year-old.
Yeah.
I really believe that.
Completely.
I don't know if I believe that for a 25-year-old, but I think for a teenager, there is still a chance to really create meaningful change. And we don't get that very often.
Right.
So that's exciting. That's great. That's amazing. And so I leave you with excitement. Listen, I love Cooler. I love
Cooler?
Cooler.
Miro Luxury Apartments, one of our favorite Live Like Local Savannah partners, got the Cooler magazine. Ma'am, who was the best luxury community?
Look at that Miro Luxury Apartments. And let me tell you, I walked around here. There are people lounging at the pool, having a little happy hour.
It's
It
beautiful
looks
here.
lovely.
It is absolutely
lovely.
beautiful. We love our partners. Ma'am, who is the best attorney?
Horne Law Firm, Derek Horne.
And just because it's my turn now, the best community event or festival, Live Like Local Savannah. So very grateful to our awesome friends and family at the Cooler magazines. In the meantime, livelikeLocalSavannah.com. I'm Renee LaSalle. Hey, we love you. Thank you for joining us.